Also, we have existing home sales out that surged unexpectedly, 1.7% of the month of April. Furthermore, the backlog of homes at about a little bit more than 4 months. That is pretty low, and it shows a shrinking supply, which could help the industry down the road. Or could it? Let's ask housing expert Tom Booker. What do you make of that, Tom? Because offsetting this, and something you've been worried about, is the fact that actual home ownership has been declining. So what wins out?
So, Neil, thanks a bunch for having me on. I got to tell you that the housing numbers are a bit of a so what. It's the beginning of the spring. The numbers should be up. Housing starts have been great. But the real challenge for me is that there's too many borrowers that are being left out of the equation. Most of the mortgages are being given to people who have FICO scores over 700, about 80%, and those who don't meet that threshold can't participate.
Isn't that a good thing? Not to be callous, but to avoid the problems we had last time, where people who weren't prepared to take on the financial obligation of a mortgage were getting a mortgage and ultimately not able to keep that mortgage.
Well, the problem we had last time, and I won't go into the myriad of circumstances that drove that, but the problem we had last time was we're driven more by fraud and by a set of actions that were really related to some expectations that weren't being managed in borrowers. The people we're talking about now are people who've lived through the crisis, been out there for 8 or 9 years renting, look at a future of renting where rent increases are going up 5 to 7% a year, and really don't have a way to participate. And I would make an argument that there's a way to get good loans under a 700 FICO score.
I'm sure that's right. I would always defer to you on these matters. Do you think it's psychological too, Tom? By that I mean, I talk to a lot of young people today who say, I don't want a house. I don't want a condo. I don't want a townhouse. I saw what happened to my parents. I saw what happened to friends and families who were thrown out of theirs or went into bankruptcy. No, thank you. What do you make of that?
Neil, that's a sentiment that I think we can all understand, and for a generation of which my daughter was one of them, a lot of what they're concerned about is exactly that. In addition, they're concerned about mobility. They're concerned about a house being illiquid. So yeah, there are real concerns. But I'd also add that as they age, as they begin to form their lives, as they begin to have children, and as they begin to need to have a base to work from, there's really a desire to try and find a way to own a home. And one of the challenges as they pay off the school debt, as you've laid out,
right,
or as they begin to get their lives started, is how do I find an entry point? And I'd make the argument that if we don't get a way for them to enter, this is a problem that could hit homeowners who are homeowners today 20 years from now, because there won't be anybody there to buy them.
Yeah, so the selfish interest. You eventually do want to sell your home. Tom,
that's exactly right.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, all right?
Thank you, Neil.
Very good read on this, Tom Booker.